All right, good morning. Welcome in. Baseball and Coffee, 10 a.m., Wednesday, December 10th. Winter meetings frenzy. I'm not really one to cover rumors or anything like that, but obviously we had some things happen yesterday that we'll break down. Gerrit will come on around 11, be with me for about half an hour. So that should be great. He'll be good. But yeah, we'll go over some of the stuff that happened yesterday. We'll just see where this takes us. Thanks for everybody who's here hanging out with me this morning on another cold ass day here in New York. Not as cold as yesterday, but not warm yet. So got my scarf going. We're not messing around today. And yes, Spectre sees it right here. There's tons of rumors flying around the mill. I mean, it's too many to keep up with at this point. This time of year generates the rumors. So we'll see. But it's time to go ahead and break down everything that did happen yesterday. And then we'll just go from there. All right, here we go. So obviously, the first thing that I'm sure everybody wants to talk about is this sad reality right here. The cover of the New York Post says it all. The Trumpets are now going out west. Edwin is no longer a Met. I'm stunned by it, especially with the 3-year deal. I thought he would be a Met at that term. I don't know the details. I haven't talked to him. I don't have any insight on exactly what went wrong with the negotiation. But either way, the Dodgers pick up Edwin Diaz, who is the best closer on the market. And the Mets lose him. Now the Mets, this is Alexis. That's Splenda. That's not Sugar. We got to get Sugar here. Hold on. And the Mets now, I mean, they did make the preemptive move to go get Devin, which I think was great, especially looking at it now. Except for the fact that I did read a little bit about how maybe the way that they went about getting Devin might have upset Edwin. But again, I don't have any information on that. I just know that he's now a Dodger. That fills a huge need for the Dodgers. And the Mets now are definitely going to be in the market for another relief pitcher. And it's going to be curious to see what Stearns and the boys do, what their decision-making process looks like and how they are going to, move on from here. So, really need a whole lot of primer on Edwin. He's a great pitcher. I really was curious how this was all going to play out. 5 years would have been a little much, probably. But, at 3 or 4 years, I love the signing regardless of the price. I think he's at the very tippy top of the sport. You look at the numbers, they're pretty consistent every year. He put up a 1.63 last year in 62 games. Basically struck out 100 batters, had a .87 whip. Not all that far off from his transcendent 2022, which I was a part of, which is the best season I've ever seen from a relief pitcher. 62 innings, 118 strikeouts that year with a 1.31. Then he had the catastrophic injury, accidental crazy thing in the WBC. Pitched pretty well that year, not for nothing, 1.04 whip. An underrated factor about Edwin when you look at him long-term is his durability. It's tremendous. He's never had an arm injury or anything like that. So that's why these numbers look the way they look. I mean, this is a spectacular Baseball Savant percentile rankings chart here. Whiff percentage. The worst he's ever done is 95th percentile. The worst he's ever done in K percentage is 93rd percentile. So you know what you're getting. I think the reason why teams wouldn't want to go 4 or 5 years on him is probably a couple factors. He's a 2-pitch pitcher. Velocity has trended down a little bit the last few years, although it's still elite at 97.2. I think if there's some concern that if Edwin fell down into the 94, 95 range, then he would be way less effective. I could see an argument to be made for that, but I think we're still a ways away from that. The guy's an absolute rubber band. So, I don't know. I think 3 years is a great term. I think the Dodgers, once again, they get away with like bandits here. There's more deferred money in it, of course. I know the Mets offer it was deferred money as well. But this pretty much is going to feed their biggest need. Now, if you have one concern for Edwin moving forward, it's this. And this was my Achilles heel, so I know a little bit about this. As great as he is, the stolen bases are an issue. I mean, they did get 5 guys caught this year, mainly because Terrence is the best thrower in the game. I do think this will be an issue for him in LA. 90% of the time, it's not an issue because he's striking everybody out, and there's nobody on base. But it's a little bit of an issue in tight games, and with the modern game. That's only going to get exacerbated until he fixes that. But yeah, they got the top guy in the market, and it's a heck of a job by LA, which just seems like, you know, they can get anything done that they want to get done. It's really crazy. So let's go look at their bullpen now and how Sugar slots in there. Obviously, he's the closer. You can move Tanner Scott, who's actually got a bigger overall contract than Edwin, which is wild, back to the setup role. Vesia is great. Treinen looking to bounce back somewhat, but stuff's still great. Gratterall's a big wild card with this team, and then they're going to churn the rest of these spots. I think this was the type of move that they didn't have to make. They were probably fine. I mean, they just won the World Series. They could have run it back exactly the same way, but they weren't going to mess with their starting too much. I also think this gives them a very clear path to continue to develop Roki Sasaki as a starter. So I think this is going to be really good. Edwin is kind of fits like a glove, especially if Kike goes back there. Then he's got like a homie on the team. But, who wouldn't want to join a super squad? I mean, I remember when I signed with the Yankees, they had just won 100 games. I know that the fans might not understand that, but from a player perspective, it's pretty fun to join, a winning situation and just try to fit in there. And honestly, I'm just surprised. I thought he just felt like a Met to me for life. And I'm surprised it didn't get done at the 3 years. So now backtracking to the Mets and what this means for them as we go back to their roster resource. I mean, at the end of the day, like, they kind of swapped out Edwin for Devin Williams, and I can come up with an argument that at the price point they got Devin Williams for, it was a better deal. I think if you go head to head, Devin Williams versus Edwin Diaz career, you're going to see that Devin has a better ERA. They've both had outlier bad seasons. Devin's being last year, Edwin's being, 2019 with the Mets. Let me baseball reference this stuff for a second. Edwin had the one outlier year where he gave up all the home runs with the Metros. That would have been, this one right here, 2019 with a 5.59. So his downward outlier season was a 5.59, whereas Devin Williams was only like a 4.7. And in a lot of ways, like, I like Devin's profile because he doesn't really rely as much on velocity. Like, of course, he likes velocity, but he's got the airbender, which protects him a little bit. It's such a unique pitch, even relative to Sugar Slider, which is one of the best pitches in the game. The airbender is so unique that I kind of like it. Like, I understand the Mets' strategy of getting Devin signed first, especially for this price point. But I also think the plan was always to bring Edwin back, and then clearly something got messed up along the way. And I'm sure all that will be revealed in the coming weeks by all the people that cover the teams. So at this point, it's all fan speculation. We don't know the real reality of what happened yesterday and how this all unfolded. But I do think the Mets are still in a fine spot. Like, if you're a Mets fan, once you get past the heartbreak of losing another beloved player, that's 2 now this offseason, you can kind of see that. I mean, they're still in a good position. They're going to be able to sign some more relief pitching. And, the odds are that Devin's going to bounce back to this form. I mean, look at this run of form leading up to last year. It's a 1.70 ERA and 222 innings. He's unbelievable. So I feel great about, Stearns signing up Devin. I think it would have been better, of course, with having Edwin. But it isn't, and we have to move on from that now. Who is left on the big-time free agent relief list? Because I think that's important to look at right now, because the Mets are going to be in the hunt for this. All right, so Suarez is probably the next biggest name on the list. He's probably going to command the next biggest amount of money. I also think Brad Keller is a very exciting guy. I still tend to believe that Tyler Rogers is a very valuable piece. I saw Finnegan. We'll break down Finnegan re-signing with the Tigers in a minute. Matz is now gone with the Rays. Fairbanks is an interesting one. Can't pitch in cold weather because he has a condition with his hand, but is a dominant guy. I could see him being potentially attractive. A real weird wild card one is this Tyler Kinley. A lot of people don't know about him. Let me just really quickly show you something crazy about Tyler Kinley's season from last year. I'm not saying he should be necessarily signed to the Mets or whatever, but look at the contrast here in his season. He was in Colorado, and he had a he had a 5.66 in Colorado in 49 games, and he went to the Braves and had a .72 in 24 games. So getting him out of Mile High really helped him. But, anyway, my point is there's some other guys here. Now I know Soto's off the board, but there's plenty of guys here to fill out your bullpen, and there's some sneaky, really good pitchers in here still. Luke Weaver. Let's see here. You could always go back down the Robertson path if he still wants to play. And then some of these guys towards the top that I really like. I continue to love Rogers. I like Keller a lot. I thought he took a big step forward, and obviously I love Robert Suarez. So we'll see what the Mets do. That's going to be fascinating to see. Now let me get in the chat here for a second as we're talking about this Edwin stuff, and we have looks like a lot of stuff going on here. Mets really need to make sure Pete comes home now. So I feel like this is a bit of a consensus feeling within the fan base, and I'm not sure it's going to happen. I think we're in a whole new world now. No Nimmo, no Edwin. Pete seems to have more of a market this time with other clubs. I've heard him attached to a few more teams now. I mean, it's all rumors. So we'll see. We'll see. And I can see an argument where even for Pete, maybe his heart, after seeing some of these moves, maybe he's a little more open to moving on too. But I don't know. I don't know what these negotiations are like. I don't know what the calculus is here. But I do think the fans certainly want the polar bear to stay in Queens. So we'll see how that goes. What else we got here? Yeah, we got a lot of talk about whether Edwin's like front running here or whatever, but the reality is we just don't really know. We just don't really know much about the reality of what happened yesterday. I've done some digging, but I haven't found anything out. So he got better at caught stealings after years of underperforming and caught stealings, but Dodgers pitching is not great at preventing stolen bases. So yeah, I mean, this is my one concern with Edwin is just the stealing stuff. I mean, I touched on it a second ago. As good as he is, you're capable of getting a run off him in a close game without getting a hit, which I know from experience because I was that person. That sucks. That sucks. So that's like, it's his Achilles heel. Hopefully he'll clean that up. And then the biggest thing with him is just maintaining his velo. But I wanted to show you real quick a little bit about his durability. I guess I just barely mentioned that in passing. But he, I'm big on guys that are durable and figure out how to remain healthy. But this is pretty impressive. Like, he's on pace to throw more games than I did, for sure. And I was healthy for like 8 straight years at the end. 66, 73, 66, then 26 in the bullshit year, 63, 61, and then 54 when they were managing him coming back from the knee, and then another 62 last year. Like, that's consistent. So when you have a guy who's consistent, staying on the field, has a track record of not only giving you bulk in terms of appearances, but also ridiculous performance, that's the combination you're looking for. So that's why Edwin is the highest paid reliever of all time by AAV. It's not hard to figure out. It's a combination of age, durability, and stuff, and performance. Everything lines up. You have to squint really hard to find anything bad with him. So Dodgers, they strike again. What can I say? It's pretty amazing. Oh, I think people were asking me about how some of the stuff that I was critical about had anything to do with Edwin. First of all, Edwin was treated like a king over there. He was not in the boat of the stuff I was upset about. They did a great job with Edwin. That was a great marriage. That was a great bond. I don't know. Edwin's one of the most happy-go-lucky people I've met. He's really tight with a lot of the people that work in the clubhouse. But they took great care of this guy, like they always did from the beginning, and he had enough clout to also obviously speak up when he needed a day. But everything that I complained about didn't apply to Edwin. Edwin was kind of above all of the fray of all of the crap going on. He was just doing his thing, being a good teammate. So I wasn't there last year in terms of like clubhouse stuff, so I don't know any of that. But I'm saying in terms of the organization, they always treated Edwin really, really well. So I just want to get that out here. Are the Dodgers ruining baseball? I don't think so. See, look, I grew up a fan of the powerhouse Yankees, right? Obviously, the first few titles wasn't like, they didn't buy those. They developed like the core four, etc. But I love having a team that everybody else is chasing. I think it's fun. I love having the Dodgers like this. I know people are going to disagree with me, but I love the idea of somebody, the whole rest of the league trying to take them down. You know, the big bad team. I was more interested in the NBA when LeBron and D Wade were on the Heat. You know, that's the type of fan experience that I'm at, you know, when Brady's going to the playoffs every year and like you're trying to take down the big bad team. I think there's something to be said for that. So I don't think they're ruining baseball. I do think smaller market teams are very frustrated by the fact that the Dodgers seem to get whoever they want and do whatever they want. But, you know, that's all going to be collectively bargained in the future. And that's scary because some big market owners and small market owners are going to dig their feet in and things are going to change. But ultimately, I don't think they're ruining baseball personally. And Mets World Series here saying, I think they'll get Robert Suarez. I love Robert Suarez. I think he'd be a good fit on this Mets team. You go look back at this bullpen again, where we're at right now. Williams closing, love that. Minter, don't know where he's at health-wise. That's an important factor. He's a very good pitcher. That was a good signing last year. Obviously, he got hurt. I don't have any info on that. Alzolay, who used to be a closer for the Cubs, is coming back off injury, so that's a wild card. Raley's as solid as they come. Not overpowering, but really good. And then, you know, they're going to churn, but they need one more great reliever at least to get into this back end. And obviously, we've talked about what they're going to do with the starting pitching. Ultimately, I know David's going to do a great job with the lineup and the defense. That's kind of his specialty. Even the Nimmo for Semien move, like I can understand it from certain angles, and he's going to do more there. And I have a lot of confidence. It's just how is he going to attack the pitching? I think is ultimately the question of how this team's going to perform. You know, pitching's so important during the 162. So I don't know, just curious, but they have some work still to do, and I expect them to do a lot of stuff. I think they're far from done. But Robert Suarez would fit nicely to answer that question. Yankees in 2005 spent 9.5% of the whole MLB's payroll. That would be $627 million today. And I think it should be. Damn it. Come on. Let's go. But I don't know. I get it. People are upset, you know. So I think, I don't know, Kelsey, you're asking this question about what happened with Nimmo. I didn't say anything that wasn't already like kind of known. All I said was that when the trade rumors were floated out there, once they hit the internet, we started talking about it on the show. I said, this is interesting because for this to be out there is not going to sit well with Brandon. All I mentioned was that Brandon's a very proud Met, very proud to be a Met, views himself as a leader on the squad, views himself as a really good player, and doesn't like to feel slighted by stuff like this. Like, this is going to upset him. And then that's kind of the way it played out. I wasn't wrong. They did come to him with the trade. He had the no trade clause. Basically, he did feel disrespected, and he did decide to to waive his no trade clause and go to Texas. So I didn't say anything that wasn't actually true. The whole thing where he got a little feisty with Andy Martino, it was in good spirits, but I was just mentioning a little anecdote about how he's a proud player and doesn't like to be slighted. But I think that applies to all good players. There's an element of that in baseball where it's like, if you're not a proud player, then you're probably not as good as you think you should be. You know, the mental controls the physical, so you got to believe it before anybody else does. Anyway, that was my whole point on that. Let's keep going here. We got a bunch of people saying, yes, the Dodgers are ruining baseball. Everybody is entitled to their opinion, but I bet you, especially everybody that's watching this show, will be dialed into baseball next year and hoping that their team can take them down, right? I love the idea of taking down the Dodgers. It would feel so gratifying to be that team, right? You know, and they've been close to getting taken down the last few years too. Padres were right there. Blue Jays were right there. So it's not like it was like they've been sweeping everybody 4-4-4-4 like the old Philadelphia 76ers back in the day with Moses Malone. I mean, they've had some turmoil, but they have gotten the job done the last 2 years, and they will be the favorite this year as well, no doubt. David Tay, Dodgers should complete their villain arc, trade for Skubal, and sign Tucker. Wow. Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, it does become obnoxious. If they did go for Skubal now, I don't even know. I mean, then the rotation is just so obnoxious. I don't even know what to make of it. I saw some of the floated trade packages. They seem a little light to me. I'd be stunned if Detroit was willing to give the Dodgers Derek Skubal for Sheehan and some prospects. So I don't know. We'll wait and see. That's why I don't try to do a lot of the rumor stuff, because I know a lot of it's just planted by agents and teams, and a lot of it's BS that's out there. So it doesn't really matter much. But Anyway, all right. Stern said Minter should be back opening day or shortly after mid-April. Great. Minter's really, really good. He's been consistent his whole career. So that's very important for the Mets. Without him, they would have to do more. There's no way Suarez is getting paid as much as Edwin. Suarez is looking at like a 2-year deal, maybe 3 if that's where the bidding goes to, because he's a lot older than Williams and Edwin. Also, he doesn't have the same strikeout rate, even though he throws hard. Good pickup, but different type of pitcher. All right, here we go. Yes, I agree with this. This is a random question about stuff models, but I think there's still more factors that we can't necessarily put our fingers on yet and assign numbers to. So I do. I think we're getting better though. What current pitcher do I see myself as most similar to? Um, Man, that's a tough question. Um, I don't know. You got to look at like righty relievers, sinker slider as their primary. So like a Ryan Kerkering a little bit, but he doesn't have the same level of deception. Okay, Ryan Walker from the Giants, I would say is like he's like a young Ottavino. He's like I was in 2015, 2016. Really good velocity, a lot of deception, stepping way across the body the way I used to. Basically 2 pitches, but because they're nasty, has a good shot. He didn't evolve to where I got to, but like by 2018, 2019 yet, but that's a young version. So I'd say Ryan Walker of the Giants. Okay, what else we got here? Stern said something about being competitive, not aiming to win World Series. I think that's how a lot of people think about it, is that they just want to buy themselves a ticket to the tournament and then get in from there. I think this is somewhere where I think the Dodgers have distinguished themselves the last few years. I think the Dodgers started playing for the playoffs and signing players for the playoffs 3 or 4 years ago. I think they just assume that they're in. Whereas I think most teams don't have that luxury. They have to play the 162 and find a way to get in and then figure it out in the tournament. I think the Dodgers have, not with every move, but with a lot of their moves, like they know that they're not going to get full seasons out of a lot of guys, and they're okay with that because they have the right type of stuff to win in the playoffs. So to me, that's something that the Dodgers have done that I would like to see, maybe like a team like the Yankees build their team a little bit more playoff-wise. But again, if you're in the AL East or the NL East, it might be a little tougher. I know the NL West is strong, but you have some crap over there as well. So I don't know. Dodgers just have such an advantage right now over everybody. That deferred deal with Ohtani, granted, he would have given that to anybody, but the fact that they got that on the books, it's such a game changer. They can surround the greatest player of all time with more great players. So it's really, really, really incredible for them. All right, what else we got here? How come so many teams are adamant? The teams aren't adamant. Tucker's not going to sign for anything but like a long, long deal unless his market falls apart. He's the prime age for everything. Young, great numbers, full package in almost every way. I mean, he's not a perfect player, but close. So he could get like a 10-year deal. So it's not the teams, it's the players' ability driving the price. Dodgers did not dominate the regular season, and the series with the Jays could have easily gone either way. A collection of the best players doesn't make the best team. Agreed. And I think ultimately, like I said, it wasn't easy for them to win the World Series the last 2 years. They almost got defeated both times. They did end up pulling through. But again, I think as much as they're the big bad team, it's not that they're unbeatable. Teams they're touchable for sure. All right, what else we got? I don't totally disagree with some of this statement here. All right, Maya's got a question for me. Do you think the fans will blame Diaz or the Mets front office? I don't know. I mean, you probably are a better answer to this. You probably have a better answer to this than me. I think people are a little like people loved Edwin. It was so obvious. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to have him on an after school special because kids love Edwin. So I want to have him on when kids could come on the stream and ask him questions. It's so apparent. I would play catch with Edwin every day out there, and you can see the way that the Mets fans adore him. So in a way, I think that will always remain true. But the circumstances of this, yeah, some people will be bitter about it, maybe, depending on what information comes out. I think the Stearns thing is like, if it works, it's all good. If the team turns it around and they're a good team, he'll be absolved of whatever they're mad about in 2 seconds. If the team struggles, it's just they're just going to continue to pile on. No matter what, there will be a scapegoat. So that's just how it goes. How does the deferred deal help when they have to put all the money into escrow and have to pay the present day AAV and the luxury tax? The way it helps is because the AAV is way lower than the money that they had to spend. Like, they are giving him 70. It's just over a long period of time. And so the number came down to what, like 40 something in the tax. Like, it still all matters. But the point is like, they're also earning money off of his presence on the team. Like, that $700 million or whatever it ends up being that's deferred, 600 and something million dollars, like, they're going to be able to recoup that during this time. So it's a non-burden the same way that it is, like, Anthony Rendon was a different type of burden, right? Like, he wasn't producing any revenue for them. He was just strictly taking money out of their account, whereas the Ohtani situation obviously is so much more than that. There's so many more layers to that. So anyway, I think it's helped in a lot of ways. But it's because of him specifically. It's not deferred deals in general. Every team can do that. I just think the Ohtani factor brings in so much more than you're spending, especially with this deferral situation that allows you to really push all in a little harder right now. And it's paying off. I mean, they just won 2 in a row, so it's pretty crazy. All right, let's see here. Well, thank you for subscribing, Anthony. I appreciate that. I'm glad you're here. Gerrit will be on in about half an hour. Yeah, and people are saying, I heard that they already made that money back. And that's crazy. He's got another 8 years left. So just imagine, you know. Is Stearns more Heimblum than Andrew Friedman? Probably, but Heimblum's a good GM. He was just scapegoated in Boston. I don't think David Stearns is bad at his job at all. I think that he had a bad year, but I mean, he's going to be defined to what happens these next 2 years. This year's a huge year for a lot of people within the Mets organization. So let's just wait and see, man. Let's just wait and see. When you're in that seat, you get to make the choices. You get to be convicted. So I feel pretty good about it. Overall, I think he's solid. You know, I don't think so. See, I thought Edwin had a shot to go to the Blue Jays as well. I was thinking about what his market would be this offseason. Once the Braves signed Iglesias, then they were probably out, because originally I thought maybe Braves. But I thought Dodgers or Blue Jays, but I was like, Dodgers, I don't know. Blue Jays I thought might be the team to go ahead and blow the number out of the water and just bring them in. But that didn't end up happening, obviously. So, oh my, I feel you guys. I'm so sorry. I was commenting yesterday in my Discord that, like, you know, I can sympathize. Like, I'm dead inside now as a player. Things happen and I'm just like, wow, that happened. All right, that's crazy. But I just move on. But like when I was a kid, like if Bernie Williams signed with the Red Sox or something, I would have died inside. So I get it. I get it as a fan. Totally. Otto, when does your Italy prep begin and when do we get to watch it? So I've already started working out. I'm just starting to train my arm back a little bit. I'm going to start making some videos. So hopefully I'll be able to put some stuff on the channel and you'll get a better sense of how I'm trying to teach a little bit of some of the stuff in my process to get ready to pitch in major league caliber games. So hopefully you guys will like that stuff. As a Red Sox fan, it's hard to argue with what's coming out from our farm right now. We will always respect Heim. Thank you. Thank you. Good comment. Because he did. He set you guys up for success. I'm not saying Brez isn't doing a good job and that they're not in a better spot maybe now. But if you're a Cardinal fan, like Heim's a good guy to have. Like he got hired for a reason. I've always respected Heim a lot and liked him a lot. So I felt like he was scapegoated in Boston a little bit. So we'll see. Yeah, Edwin to the Braves would have been the only thing worse. All right, we need to move on from this a little bit, at least on the show. We might circle back again. Maybe I should challenge May to a prep. First of all, he threw harder than me then. He probably throws harder than me now. He's a lot more locked in on what he's doing than I am, so we'll keep going. All right, let's get over to let's look at Schwarber, right? So Schwarber signs back with the Phillies. He gets paid for 5 years. So the Phillies are paying big money to keep their same team. I'm curious how this is all going to play out. I did feel like they had no choice but to keep Schwarbs. I've talked about how Schwarber is, one of the best teammates I've ever played with. I feel like he affects the clubhouse in such a positive way. I feel like he uplifts the fellow hitters around him. But now we're in a situation where we're looking at the Phillies and we're saying you're really going to run it back exactly the same. Like if they re-sign JT and they don't do a whole lot of other stuff, it's the same group. I can see an argument for doing it. They've been in the postseason every year. I can see an argument for switching it up, and I have no idea what Dombrowski's going to do or what their flexibility is because they just spent a lot of money on their DH here, but he's a special DH, as I mentioned. So I don't have a whole lot to break down here. I mean, I thought it was cute that the Pirates offered him a little bit of money, and the Reds, who I thought actually had a shot since he's from near Cincinnati. Even Orioles I saw gave a big bid, which would have been an interesting spot for him. But ultimately, the Phillies knew that they kind of needed this guy back, what he means to them. And so, if he hadn't gone back, it would have been hell to pay in Philly, according to Spector. So I agree with that. But there's not really a whole lot to break down on Schwarber. He's one of my favorite players. I think he's great. I think it's interesting that the Mets offered him. I think that you can read into that a little bit with Alonso. Like, have they made Pete an offer, or did they offer Schwarber early? Because this could be another insulted situation. Oh, so you're going to offer somebody else my job? Like, I don't know. I'm just saying this time of year gets very interesting. This gets very interesting. Losing Schwarbs would have definitely deflated the fan base. So they don't deflate the fan base, and we're going to have to see how this plays out for the Phillies. But again, I think the Phillies will probably be the favorite in the NL East, along with the Mets and the Braves. They'll all be in the mix, and we'll see how it plays out. But we already know what this Phillies team is. This is a good team. They just haven't gotten over the hump yet. And I don't know what differences they're going to make, but they probably should do something a little different. The Pirates thing is hilarious. He was never signing with the Pirates. I find that very funny. I find that very, very funny to me. But anyway, Reds maybe. I could have seen the Reds just because I know he's from there. Grew up a big Reds fan, so perhaps. Bellinger or Okamoto to replace Pete. I like both. I love Cody as a fit with the Mets in general. Outfield defense plus first base insurance. And then if you were, I think Bellinger and Pete would be great for the Mets. But again, I don't have any insight on that, and it's all just rumors. I've gone over their roster and who I thought would fit, but I like both of these guys. I like Okamoto as well. A little bit of a different skill set. But I think Bellinger is like kind of the belle of the ball in a lot of ways too. I think he fits with so many teams. I did not see your last comment. You want me to go back and look for it, Anthony Mazzano? Let's see if I can find it. There's a lot of stuff in the chat today. Oh, Adam, if you had to choose your top favorites for both Sandy and Edward from Miami, who they would be, and what would your trades look like in your opinion? I mean, that's a big question. There's a lot there. I like both of those guys. Cabrera is an interesting one because he leads with that changeup so much. And I think Sandy's numbers looked a little weird because it's a contact game, but I still like Sandy a lot because of the durability and potential to throw 200 innings for me. And been there, done that. I think he needs something slower, but a couple adjustments away from being a top 10 pitcher again. So I like both of them. All right. What else happened yesterday? Kyle Finnegan signed back with the Tigers. So let's go to him real quick. He was an interesting study as well.
You're an interesting study.
Oh, hi, my love.
Hi, my darling.
How are you?
I'm just so excited for Gerrit.
You're excited for Gerrit?
I can't sit still.
Oh, man.
He's my love.
I know he's your love. All right. Who am I looking up here? Finnegan. The interesting thing with Finnegan, so I've watched Finnegan. Yeah. I've watched Finnegan pitch for a long time with the Nationals. I thought he was severely overrated with the Nationals, and it was always sketchy because he wasn't getting huge strikeout numbers. You go look at his, and what do you really want as a closer? You need to get those strikeouts. The K percentages over the years for Finnegan, he has been over league average a few times, but he's been below a few times, and typically you want those towards the tippy top if you're going to be a closer. However, the usage has shifted, and this did make him now maybe a little bit more attractive than he was prior. Now he's an 84th percentile ex-WOBA, and a lot of that is driven by the huge spike in splitter usage. Let's see if I can go by month here, just from last year. And you're going to see the splitter and the four-seam switcherooski right here after the trade deadline. And he took off after that. The splitter becoming the primary pitch, that was a Tigers adjustment. Fetter over there, Hinch, the guys over there, this was an adjustment they made. And he took off. He pitched really well for the Tigers, and now he's back with them, 2 for 19. Relievers are getting absolutely paid this year. Makes me want to come back out of retirement. But I'm also cooked in a way, so it's not really going to work. But it just goes to show you, like, if you're one adjustment away from maybe becoming more attractive to these teams, and a lot of it is just getting away from, your fastball, leaning a little bit more into your secondaries, making that fastball play up a little bit, which is what Kyle Finnegan did. So let's go over to the roster resource for the Tigers and see where this leaves the Tigers at the moment in their bullpen, because this is definitely a run on relievers right now. So I do think you're going to see some more today, probably. All right, Will Vest and Finnegan are holding down the back end. They did lose a lot of guys. So they're probably going to do a little more here. But this team is such a mix and match team. Holton, Herder's a good pitcher. Montero's like a swingman. For me, a lot of stuff comes down to whenever they get Jackson Joe back and everything that happens with Skubal, because I don't think they can really compete for a title without a top end of the rotation starter. You see the way they use their pitching in the bullpen. I mean, in the playoffs, it's like just like outside of Skubal, they were trusting Mize to throw like 3 innings or Flaherty to throw like 3 innings. Like they don't really have any faith in these guys. So that's a little sketchy. So I expect them to make some more moves. Well, they still have a very good team. It's just without Skubal, it would look a lot different. So I'm not really sure. Not really sure where they go from here, but getting Finnegan back, clearly they liked the adjustments they made with him, and now they'll pair him with Vest at the end, and that will be their 1-2 punch. So I do think that you'll see some more relievers, maybe even today, come off the board. It seems like it becomes a musical chair situation, and that kind of moves things forward. All right. Do you think he's going to close for the Tigers, that Will Vest job? Well, one thing I will say about AJ Hinch's teams, nothing's ever written in stone, right? He's always going with the hot hit. He's always going with what he thinks is going to help the team win ball games. So to me, that's all undecided. It's probably Will Vest's job to lose right now. He's earned it, but that could change in a blink of an eye. Think of Jason Foley, right? He gone. So they'll go with whoever's better, Oh, that was last offseason, Dan. If you show out at WBC and a team offers you a minimum contract, you in. Depends on the team, I guess. I'm kind of moving on, man. I love pitching, but I'm kind of moving on. So this is what I should have done last year, Maya. D-Rob is always a step ahead of me. He didn't try to go to spring training and make a team or deal with any of this. He said, you know what? I'll be ready. Call me in July. And he got $6 million to pitch about two months. So that should have been the move. How did I learn to pitch, and were you young? Did my dad play? My dad didn't play, but I grew up right next to a park in Brooklyn, Prospect Park, with 8 baseball fields. So I would go every day with my dad and practice, look at the older kids, and I was just obsessed from a young age. So just a lot of practice. That 10,000 hours thing, did a lot of that. My dad's an actor, so when he wasn't working, he was around a lot to work with me. And I'm an only child, so he could spend all his time with me. So yeah, I'm extremely lucky and a benefit. I benefited a lot from my circumstances, but also there was definitely an obsession factor there. I don't think anything separates Jason Adam from the higher money now. It's just that he's got a torn quad. I think if he was a free agent with the way he's pitched the last few years, he'd get super paid. So we'll see. I don't know enough about this. I saw this comment was in the chat earlier, but I don't know enough about this to have any real thoughts on it. Jimmy Herget seems like a reliever to me, but I don't know. Right. Who was my baseball idol? Nah, I mean, you got to remember, I didn't grow up wanting to be a relief pitcher. I grew up wanted to be a starting pitcher. So my favorite pitchers were Jimmy Key, David Cone, El Duque, Andy Pettit, Pedro Martinez, but I was always infatuated with guys who had good off-speed stuff, good breaking stuff, which makes sense given the type of pitcher I was. And then, I just evolved into whatever would let me play as much as I could. What are the logistical challenges of turning a reliever into a starter? It's just like not everybody can do it. Not everybody has the pitch package or the wherewithal to go through the lineup more than one time, or the ability to pitch, at anything but absolute max effort. So there's a lot of things that go into it, but it's a harder job. Starting's harder, so you just got to be better, at the end of the day. What legendary player do you most wish you could have pitched to? I would have loved to face Barry Bonds. I mean, it wouldn't have been a good matchup for me, but Barry Bonds is the greatest hitter I've ever watched. So it would have been fun to take a shot at Barry and see how that went. Griffey would have been another one. I mean, I was able to face some legends. I faced Ichiro. I faced Chipper Jones. I faced Big Papi. I faced Manny Ramirez. Like, there was some, but I definitely, Barry Bonds sticks out for sure. Derek Jeter was hurt when we played the Yankees. That would have been cool, but those are the main ones. I faced Pujols, Trout, Cabrera, McCutcheon, all those types of people. So, I don't know. The OGs would have been cool. That would have been fun to throw 4 balls to Barry, I'm sure. No, I want to face Barry in my circumstance. Game's not on the line, 2 outs, nobody on base, and I can go right at him and see how far he can hit it in the bay or whether I get the best of him. That would have been my hope. I don't want to face him with the game on the line. Then, 4. Straight to first base. So. Yes, Dylan Cease is very well spoken. Good comment here. So I'm curious what the Jays do with him. What else am I missing transaction-wise? I saw some other stuff, some stuff recently. I know Stevie Matz signed with the Rays. We'll do a quick little moment on that. Let me answer this question. Are there any legends that you owned? David Wright and Ryan Zimmerman. Ownage. Look it up. Absolutely. McCutcheon. Ownage. Bad. So, other than that, not everybody, because I gotten crushed by a lot of guys. So, anyway, I'm not trying to be cocky or anything, but there was a few righties that, David Wright got hit in the head once, and I don't think I made him very comfortable look like I was going to hit him in the head, even though I wasn't. I feel like that played to my advantage a little bit. All right, so here's Matzy. This is my old throwing partner going back in the day before he, moved to Nashville or wherever he lives now. Phenom, Long Island kid, unbelievable changeup. You see the induced vertical break on that changeup into the negatives. He's always had good velocity for a lefty, 94.5. I really think this is a good fit with the Rays because he could be a starter, he could be a reliever. He's just a pitcher, but he fits in a lot of ways. I think also great news for the Rays getting back in the Trop. It seems like they know how to make the Trop work, whereas Steinbrenner Field probably wasn't their best situation. We got them back in their home environment, let them play their brand of baseball. But yeah, Stevie Matz, guy I've known forever, had such an up and down career to this point, original Met prospect, but has pitched really well, trended really well the last few seasons when he's been out there. Things have been improving. The walk percentage, 99th percentile in walks, that's setting your floor super high. And over time, he's gotten better at controlling his barrels. So it's an interesting signing, big fan of Stevie Matz, and it's interesting because the Rays, it's one thing I talk about with the AL East. Like, you cannot take anything for granted in the AL East because every one of these teams is going to go for it and try every year. I mean, the Orioles are just throwing out huge offers to Schwarber, and they think they're going to jump right back in. But you got to remember, Yankees are good, Blue Jays are good, Red Sox are good, Rays have been typically good, and they're feisty. And then the Orioles won the division 2 years ago. So where do they have him slot in right now? They have him at the 5-starter spot behind Rasmussen, Pepio, McClanahan, Boz, and Matz. Like, that's a pretty good rotation. Or he could fit in this bullpen, which has Griffin Jax, one of my favorite relievers in there. I would compare myself to him a little bit, but he's got better stuff. He's like a more evolved version. Anyway, I don't know. Just shows you that AL East. It's such a competitive division. That one, NL West, NL East. Those are tough. Those are tough. Those are tough divisions. What other transactions were there to maybe look at? We did talk Anthony Kay a little bit, not today, but we talked about him when that happened. Good opportunity for him with the White Sox. Interesting that his season was so good with Yokohama that you had to have that kind of year to come back. Oh yeah, Soto to the Pirates. I've never been a big Gregory Soto fan. I don't know how this moves the needle for the Pirates. I mean, to me, this is the type of guy that's always been tantalizing. He throws hard. He's a lefty. He was a closer at one point for the Tigers. He's not useful. He's pretty durable, but I have yet to see him turn it into great results. Look at the ERAs the last 3 years. They're all over 4. There's no moment where he jumped ahead of that. Career 2.3 WAR in 391 games is just pretty uninspiring to me. I haven't seen a single dominant year since 2022. So for him to get 7.5, it shows you the marketplace for lefties. But he wouldn't have been a guy I would have signed. But I mean, I get it a little bit. Like, I'm sure the modeling liked him. And, the Pirates are clearly trying to improve their team in some ways. Maybe they're up against it with some rules that they have to comply with. But he moves in there. Now they have a late inning lefty, which they didn't have before, so it definitely fills a need. But their biggest needs are offensive needs. So we'll see what they do offensively. But they did something. So hey, they signed a player. We can be happy about that. But they have to fix this part of it, the offensive side. I know they got the password over there now, but they have plenty of upgrading to do over here if they want to compete, even in the weak. I wouldn't say it's weak because Brewers and Cubs, NL Central. So we'll see. What else we got here? Do I think Tommy Tanius? I never really interacted with him much, so I can't have a great opinion on that. But it does seem like the Rockies are making some good hires. Matt Daniels, director of pitching, is a guy I worked with at Driveline. That's great. I love that they kept Schaefer as manager. I honestly like a lot of what the Rockies are doing right now, and I'm pleased. I'm pleased as a Rockies enjoyer. If I could have had a personal catcher for your whole career, who would it be and why? God, I don't want to insult anybody because I've had so many good catchers, but I've said it before. For whatever reason, me and Tomas Nido were like connected in the brain. So I'm going to say Tomas Nido. We always made beautiful music together. You know what? That does make me think, though. Let's see what the numbers have to say. Let's go to career splits. And then maybe we can get by catcher. So here are my career splits by catcher, by ERA. Who was I the best with? I mean, I had a 1.52 in 25 games with Austin Romine. That's pretty good. But the biggest bulk here is probably, Tomas Nido, 55 games with a 2.33. Nick Hundley, 30 games with a 2.10. Who did I throw the most to? Willian Rosario, 112 games. And then next after that is Alvey, 72 games with Alvey. So, I don't know. Nido always felt like it to me. I always felt like we pitched well together. Like we did a good job together. I don't know. I felt comfortable with a lot of these dudes. It's kind of crazy that I had only 4 games with Yadier Molina with a 7.71. So clearly his magic was not helping me. And clearly me and Kratz were a freaking disaster. 15.43. We should not work together. So that's pretty funny. All right, what else we got here? Yeah, try to trade some guys for some people at the deadline and stuff. Is it possible to do a Ferrer and Soto side-by-side comparison? Yeah, all right. So here's Soto, and then let me pull up Mr. Ferrer. All right, so here's Ferrer. We just went over him yesterday because he got traded to the Mariners. He's still like figuring out his game, but it's a huge ground ball game. 32-degree arm angle, 97.7, mostly sinker, Whereas Soto is 36-degree arm angle, so same arm angle, basically. Also sinkers the primary pitch, a little bit slower. Not as much of a ground ball rate because it's not as sinky of a sinker, perhaps? Yeah, Ferrer's has a little more drop to it, and he's got the changeup factor. Soto uses a four-seam, which is something I recommended for Ferrer, but he hasn't gotten there yet. And Soto has more breaking ball in his game. 35% slider, it's clearly a pretty good pitch for him if he's throwing it that often. Plus, he has a sweeper. So he's further down the line, he's developed a little bit more. But Ferrer's sinker is a better pitch, and he throws for more velocity and has a better changeup. Soto doesn't even have a changeup, so that's a good comparison between these two guys. All right, what else we got here? This is a question about Yachty. Yeah, he didn't call a lot of sliders, but it's so hard to shake off a legend, right? I mean, he had only caught me a little bit in spring, so it wasn't his fault. He just wasn't as familiar with my game. He actually called a lot of splitters back when I was throwing splitters, which is crazy. Like, you look at some of my early strikeouts in the big leagues, they're like splitters. It makes no sense, but I still like throwing at him. I just think if we had a little more time together, we could have made music, and we never did. So, ever consider becoming a knuckleballer? Never. I don't have the arm stroke for it. I'm way too whippy with this wrist, and I don't know how to do it. I can't even throw a knuckleball 10 feet and make it look good, so definitely not. I spent most of 2015 till 2018 at Coors, checked out after they traded away all their best players. That infield in 17 and 18 was a joy. I mean, listen, we had a really, 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 really good team in 17, 18 with the Rockies. We were really good, and it was fleeting, but it was really good. You think about that infield: Mark Reynolds, DJ, Story, Nolan, then Chuck, Cargo, Gerardo Parra. That's a good outfield. And then we had all the young pitching. We had the bullpen. We were good. We were an all-around team. That team had a real shot. I love your face, Brett. What's a good third pitch for Tong? He's got three right now. He's got his little Vulcan pitch and his curveball and his obviously his really ride fastball. So he's got the three. He's trying to throw this slider. This is a big make or break pitch. This yellow, the slider. He needs something that goes left. If he can develop even a league average pitch that goes left, slider, sweeper, I think that's a huge area of potential growth for him. But he's got good stuff. I just think we gotta watch it play out a little more at the big league level before we know exactly what adjustment to make. But he does need a real slider for sure. Why do I think the D-backs have so much trouble with reliever health? They're another team that kind of abuses their guys pretty bad. I mean, shit, I even talked to Mike Hazen about it once at the BBWAA award dinner, and just about how they had kind of no choice. I guess it was in 23. They had kind of no choice but to run through their relievers early in the year, and they had a lot of diminished results as time went on. They didn't have enough depth there. But like I mentioned a little bit before, keeping guys healthy is a league-wide problem. It's a league-wide problem. It's not a one-team problem, but every team, there's different context of where the issues come. Sometimes it's abuse, sometimes it's communication, sometimes it's other things. But, everybody's been talking about keeping guys healthy and how that matters. So anyway, I don't know. Is there a chance Soto is so good versus lefties it's worth $8 million? I mean, there's a chance, but I don't know. I just don't think he's that great personally. So I think he's good stuff, but I haven't seen it translate into great results yet. So that's a little bit of my concern. Given the current market, what are some of the things players might say behind the scenes to go to the Dodgers? Do agents make it known if they're willing to take less or money? The Dodgers clearly aren't paying less, though. They're paying the market rate. I just think it's exciting to go to a team that's so legendary right now. They have nothing but star players. I don't know. It's attractive. It's attractive. Who doesn't want to win? Who doesn't want to have a fun season? Who doesn't want a shot at that ring? And if they want you, I think that's enticing too. Like I've talked about it before in free agency, when the Yankees wanted me, it was like, you want me? That felt really good. It's like, wow, you're a great team and you want me? You think I'm good enough to be on your team? That's intoxicating. And I think that's the space the Dodgers are in now. That's the space every team wants to be. that way. Have I seen pitchers who are so resistant to change ended up stagnating themselves out of the game? Of course. There's a lot of pitchers like that. I'm not going to name names, but there's a lot of guys that refuse to evolve, and they just think they can do the same thing forever or never change their ways with, whether it even be off the field habits, and things happen. So longevity is a hard thing to achieve. It takes a lot. There's a lot that goes into it, and you got to be all in. So it's probably the thing I'm the most proud of in my career. What are some pitching tips you'd give to a 10-year-old? Hit your partner in the chest. Try to understand the relationship between your eyes and where you're looking at your target, and where you're making your throw, and just kind of do drills that help make your delivery and your stuff more consistent, but then at the same time remain athletic. Go ahead and play positions, make throws on the run, play other sports, do anything that improves your proprioception and your ability to stay free within the context of your own delivery and your own mechanics. Like everybody talks about repeating. You want to do that to some extent, but you don't want to become a robot. So as a kid, train it all. Like, do a lot of random practice, but hold yourself to a high standard as well, and just build it one day at a time. All you have to do is stack a good day, and then you stack another good day on top of that. And after 10,000 of those, or whatever it is, a couple hundred of those, you're going to be a lot better than you were before. I think that's the key, is taking it one day at a time and just practicing the fundamentals. Fundamentals will never let you down, even at the highest level. All right, one more in the chat, and then I'm taking a break before Gerrit. Every circumstance is different with this, Dan. Every circumstance is different. Some teams are like, this offer is only here for a minute. Some are like, you take your time. So we don't know. We don't know any of the context of this. Okay. When you're pitching well, do you continue to make adjustments or wait until hitters figure out? For the most part, you just pitch your way until they prove they can make adjustments against you. But you're always on the lookout for when to adjust ahead of the other guys. So it's a little bit of both. I'm just an espresso guy. I'm an espresso guy, black espresso. I like stuff with more chocolatey notes to it. Like the coffee I have right now, it's got a little bit of chocolatey notes to it. So that would be my answer to that. All right. I didn't see the Reds comments yet. Maybe we'll get into that after we talk to G. And then who do you think the Cincinnati Reds should target? I don't know. Got to look more at the Reds. We looked at them before. We mentioned that they had a lot of young guys, and their starting pitching's pretty good. They could use some help in the bullpen, and there's some space for upgrades, particularly power upgrades in the lineup. Power's an area, so that's why Schwarber made sense. But we'll see who else. All right, I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to take a little break, and we'll come back with Gerrit in a little bit. All right, so I'll see you guys in a little. Adios. All right, little update. He said he's targeting 3 more minutes. So I'll sit here in the chat for a second and answer some questions, I guess, while we wait for G, which is all good. Do you guys not like my winter loading screen? I think it's great. It's not what I had in mind when I pitched it to them, but I like the concept of the girl and the boy with the snowball. I don't know. I think it's fun. Yeah, see, I think it's relaxing. Then you get yourself a nice coffee, you know? Well, definitely Miles Davis, John Coltrane, you know, all the classics. My favorite jazz, but I like missing a lot of things. I like messing a lot of things, learning about new stuff. You know, I have this record player over here, so we dig in the crates sometimes, find some things. All right. Reds front office paraphrasing, we only targeted Schwarber because it would help ticket sales. We aren't going to go anyone big after. So he was like the special case. We had money for him, but for nobody else. That's crazy. What do you look for when watching baseball? I mean, everything. You know, I watch it all. You know, I don't know. I get sucked into the pitcher hitting matchups a lot. So, you know, that's what you're going to see mostly on my channel is me talking about the pitcher hitter confrontations. I love Charlie Brown. You're not into the Charlie Brown? You're not into Charlie Brown, Victoria? It's one of my favorite. Yeah, I know Bernie's a guitar slayer. He's at Carnegie Hall recently. I'm not playing any music. Actually, Gerrit is a pianist, so we can ask him about that when he pops on. He's a heck of a pianist, actually. Classical too, like sick stuff. So yeah, don't mess with Charlie Brown. We love Charlie Brown. Yeah, the Vin Giraldi trio. Everybody, you guys are on my on my side for sure. Yeah, Vince. Ketel Marte on the with Pirates on no trade clause is interesting as they have the arms for trade and need that bat. I mean, do you really see them trading for Ketel Marte? I'd be shocked. I just don't expect the Pirates to do anything. I'll believe it all when I see it, basically. You know, that's what it comes down to. Yeah, he plays the piano. I'll ask him about it. He's legit, too. Saw Jose Ferrer and Harry Fone both play saxophones. There's no way that's true. You guys are full of it. You're full of it, Dan. You're full of it. Ooh, when JMO was on, he talked about pitching to his numbers. Does that come at the cost of pitching situation? No. So he talked a little bit about how the situation can alter his approach. I mean, that's the key with pitching is always understanding the scoreboards, you know? Understanding what is needed now is very important. So all that stuff matters. At the end of the day, if you don't understand how to play the game to the scoreboard, you don't really understand how to play the game. So... yeah, more classical stuff. Be on in a minute. We'll ask him about it. Just waiting on him. Dutch ancestors. Interesting. I don't know. What else we got here? Hi, I saw Charlie Brown and Mickey Mouse at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Those are classics. Those are classics. Oh man, I don't know. If I'm in that seat, I'm studying it a lot more specific to my situation. Like I'm probably having way more information than I have now. We all know what the Mets need. They probably need like a Bellinger would be a great target. Obviously, got to figure out the Pete situation, another reliever, another starter. I'd be focused on the starting pitcher maybe, but I'm not in that spot, so it's no point. Yeah, Amy. How does a trade with an extension work like with Glass now? I'm not really sure how that works. All right, looks like G's here, so I'm going to go take a break and I'll bring him in. All right. One moment. Hold on, I'm just bringing him in right now. It's cold here, bro.
Tell him I miss him.
It is a winter wonderland in our house.
Tell him I
You know
miss
how it
him.
goes. All right, there he is.
All right.
What's up, bro? Thanks for joining me.
Oh, he's
Hi,
so cute.
thanks, Adam.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. How's it going, man? Any new birds on the
going.
bird app these days?
Yes. I think it was, there are 2 sparrows. Wait a second. Is my phone, let's see here. I can't go on my phone.
Think you just got muted somehow? Is that possible? Maybe because I don't know what just happened. I lost your sound. Oh, there you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so it's getting sound from my phone.
Oh, we better get a shout
Oh, I
out.
got you. Yeah, because for those of people who don't know what we're talking about, oh, now you're muted again. There you are. You're
Now
back.
am I good?
Yeah, you're back. You're
Okay.
back. You're back.
Black Phoebe. I have 2 of them in my backyard.
Black Phoebes.
Yes.
Yeah, for the people in the chat, we have this Merlin bird app where it listens to bird noises and then we see what's around. And since we both obviously are in the Northeast most of the time, we have a lot of the same birds. The indigo bunting, the
That's a good one.
the war. We have some sparrows around here, lots of stuff
Yeah,
like
the
that.
yellow-bellied warbler.
Yellow-bellied warbler.
The Eastern Blue Jays, Cardinals.
Yeah, Blue Jays, Cardinals, Orioles, Wrens, Robins.
Never had an Oriole. Never gotten an Oriole.
Yeah, I got one of these in Rye, the Orchard Oriole.
Dude.
Yeah, that thing's sick.
They're clearly different than a robin. Clearly different.
Yeah. All right. So, well, first of all, give me the update on the health. How's the arm feeling? I know we're pretty far into the recovery process, but we're starting to turn the corner a little bit here. Everything feeling good as we head into the second half of the winter here?
Yeah, everything feels really good. The progression on the initial phase was great, and after kind of having a little bit of a download period the last few weeks, I'm gonna start ramping it up here, starting today.
Great.
And very excited about it.
Yeah, that's great. I remember, obviously, I had a Tommy John as well. There's like all sorts of phases. There's the mental part of it, right? Like at the beginning, it just seems so far away. You have such a long road to hoe. And, I was with you a little bit at the beginning of the year, when you're still kind of getting adjusted to all the mental, the new situation. But I feel like watching you this summer, it was interesting to watch the progression of like, at first it was like hard to watch baseball because it's been taken from you. And then over time you start to be like, all right, I want to help out a little bit. I want to be more in the mix a little bit. So towards the end of the year, you're like going on road trips, you're ripping with the boys between innings. Like everything. So can you talk about that progression a little bit and how that kind of was for you this year?
Yeah, first year, you're just kind of physically limited overall, and so that's just a little depressing, a little hard to deal with. I'm casted like this for 2 weeks, and then after that, I'm 8 weeks in a brace, sleeping with it, and so that's 10 weeks right there. So the first couple months are pretty brutal. I got physical therapists just like pulling on my skin, trying to break up scar tissue. There's no real end in sight, right? You're just one day at a time. And then slowly but surely, I think you start to normalize again, get back in the gym, start to push some weight around. You get that adrenal dopamine response, start to feel better from that. Then I get to start playing catch at a certain point in the late summer, put some pants on, mix it up with the boys. And then I think it just starts feeling like, I can contribute just a little bit more. I can be around the guys more. I have something to talk about. I have something to do. I'm not so focused on like, just don't bump my arm and try to get good sleep. There's just a lot more things you can do. And when that happens, the love for the game starts to take over a little bit. And, I'm blessed that, the Yankees allowed me to rehab up north and they wanted to take me along. Because I think that did some good for me as well towards the end.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. And I felt the same way, like, because at first being around everybody and you can't contribute, it's a foreign feeling. I mean, you're used to grinding with everybody, 162, pitching 200 innings, all that sorts of stuff. So that feels completely foreign when you can't do that anymore. But then over time, being in the mix, it's kind of healing in a mental way as well, I think.
Yeah, I think at the right time, it's necessary.
Yeah. So, what's your level of excitement for pitching alongside Max Fried this year? I mean, he looked really, really good last year. I think he's adding a lot to your group. Is there a lot of excitement to pitch alongside him?
A lot of excitement. I was able to spend some time watching him this year, listening to him talk. I thought I can't say enough good words about Max coming into this environment under the largest left-handed contract of all time. There's nowhere else where you'll receive more pressure than what Max did this year, and he absolutely delivered for us. Both on the field and off the field, he was critical to our success, and he'll be critical to our success going forward. I was able to watch him kind of removed, not having to think about what I'm doing on a regular basis, and I picked up some things I thought were fascinating, and I'm looking forward to implementing. So. Just super excited to have him around and super proud of what he produced for us this year.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching the combo of you and him. Also, Carlos. Obviously, that's obviously it's gonna take a little while for you guys to be all clicking on all cylinders this year. But once that gets rolling, that's gonna be really fun to watch. Yourself, Max, these are guys that have found a way to kind of thread the line in the modern game between strikeouts, but also being able to pitch deep into ball games and being able to still make that a big part of your priority. What's your mentality, you would say, over the course of your career, and how's that evolved in terms of your desire to cover a lot of innings and starts? Like, do you look for opportunities to get quick outs, or is it mostly just status quo, and if you get deep, you get deep, or is this something that you can actually take into consideration over the course of a start?
I think that over the course of a start, you're just going, right? So ideally your process before then has been set up that allows you to kind of adapt to whatever's happening during the game. Over generally, I'm always just in the pursuit of the most efficient way to limit runs. I think starting my career in Pittsburgh and, striking out maybe nine per nine. So one guy an inning. And then, bumping that up to above 9 when I got to Houston and added some different weapons and then kind of have maintained that. Both ways are, at times, the most efficient way to get to 2 strikes. You don't want to get into a foul ball war when you're 0-2. You want to put the guy away on the next pitch. You don't want to be throwing waste pitches 0-2 and getting back to 2-2. 0-2 to 2-2 is extremely annoying. So I think, risk management, obviously not putting the ball in play is the least risky. So there's a time to go for that. But overall, the pursuit of just trying to be the most efficient. We don't get to throw 125 pitches anymore. Likely we're limited to between 90 and 110, probably the average being 100. So trying to stretch that out over 8 innings, 7 to 8 innings, you got to have a mix of contact and strikeout at the same time.
Yeah, I actually totally agree with you. It's funny because you used the word right, you used the phrase right there, risk management. I remember talking to JV Verlander about it, and he used risk assessment. He's like, basically, I'm just risk assessing the whole time I'm out there, and that's kind of the way I landed over time. Like, there's two methods to pitching. You're always pitching to the scoreboard, always pitching to the situation. But the guys that are truly the best in the game, can kind of toggle between different modes on and off throughout the game. It's something I've always been super impressed with about you. And I wanted to bring up something that I was curious how it might have affected and informed some of your pitching development over time, and that is your hitting ability. Back in the day, when when you were with the Pirates, you got to hit quite a bit. And I'm gonna go ahead and play a bunch of clips of all your hardest hits. And then I want to know how actually being in the box, you felt
this is
like
Drew Storen.
Yeah.
This is like 108.
This is like 108 right here.
Yeah.
I'm curious how being in the box those years helped you on the mound. Do you feel like you learned any lessons being in the box?
I did. I learned, I especially learned like how drastic up and in to down and away can feel. I also realized that like how when you're really, really trying to fight hard not to swing at a pitch, or on the flip side, you're over aggressive, like just your emotions are on one end of the spectrum or the other. You lose perspective of the zone. And that's why the hitters step out. That's why they take a breath. That's why they try to control the pace. Because really, if you start dragging pitch after pitch, it can become like you're chasing something that you don't even really know that you're chasing. And that's what ideally we want you to do, right? So, there's one game specifically where Johnny Cueto front hipped me with a cutter, and it was the first time I'd really like had somebody do it to me like multiple times. He did it to me like twice in a row to strike me out, and I was just like, I think he did that on purpose. And Chris Stewart was like, yeah, he did. He did it to a couple of other guys. So I said, well, let's try that out. Just when he gets up to bat next time, let's try the front hip, whatever. Because he's the pitcher. Let's try it out. Oh, I nailed it. I picked up like 3 or 4 strikeouts that day on that pitch after I nailed it to him. I threw it to him inside. He looked at me. He smiled. He gave me a little hat tip. I think I got Frazier, Mesoraco, Cozart. I picked up like 4 pitches. So that was just one specific day. But, getting pitched. I remember facing John Lester, having trouble identifying back-to-back spin pitches. His cutter to his curveball. To me, I could identify the spin right away, but one was going to come in at 90 and stay elevated, and the other one was not going to be a strike. And I really struggled with the discipline to the curveball. So I picked up some sequences where, if a guy is early on a slider, I'll go to the curveball because it's slower. If the curveball is, kind of like a take pitch to get to 2 strikes and a 1-strike count, then I go to the slider because it shoots out and looks a little bit harder and threatens the guy a little quicker. So, I was pitched how sometimes I pitch now. And so, I've definitely learned a lot from it.
I think it's interesting when you were talking about like the visual,
like are great. Like these pretty good swings.
Oh hell yeah, baby! I got them all listed here for you.
Wow.
I love the way that you were talking about the emotional part of it too, like why guys step out, how like they're all of a sudden they're discombobulated a little bit with their vision of the strike zone. I think as a pitcher, if you never are in the box, you never really understand that. It takes a really hard time to understand what the presentation looks like from that angle. And this is so valuable. Like, do you miss being in the box, or are you happy just kind of focusing on your job?
I do. I was actually having a conversation about it the other day with a friend, and I was like, I know the money is going to be less overall to the players. That was a big reason why. One of the big reasons why I transitioned out. But I do miss it, and I do feel like if you put effort into it, of course, I'm not going to hit like, the best hitters in the world, but there's some shred. That's a slash.
Dude, you
double.
Just did a little
unbelievable.
You just did a Butcher Boy double right there.
It was a slash double. And Chris tagged So I lost an RBI on this. I can't understand why he would tag.
Was he on first base?
Yeah, he was on first.
Come on, Stu. What are we doing here, buddy?
This ball is almost off the wall. Oh.
Yeah, Schebler. He
that
had no
ball's almost off the
respect
wall.
there.
No respect. No respect.
No, I know. I definitely, because
I miss it. Yeah, I do miss it.
Yeah, I hated practicing it. Like in Colorado, because I was throwing like multi-inning at the beginning, so I got a lot of ABs. We would practice it a lot, and I hated it because it was like an extra thing, to manage. But I loved doing it in the game. Like, thought it was great in the game, and it was fun.
I love playing offense.
Yeah.
I love playing offense. I mean, I did manage some injuries picked up from hitting, various things that never really kept me out. But yeah, having to deal with the practice and having to deal with those is not too much fun. But overall, it added just another element that sometimes I miss. One thing in regards to, I remember Wainwright fell behind. Wainwright he's just like trying to pick down and away at me, just doing this two-seam cutter thing. And I'm just like, I can't really do anything with that pitch with authority. There's probably no one on base at the time, if I can recall. And I'm just kind of leaving that pitch away. And I get ahead into count 3-1, and I'm feeling like really juicy. Like, all right, now, like, if this guy tries to pick at this little down and away thing, like, I'm at least going to put all my chips on it and try to rifle something at the second baseman. And then he comes with the big curveball, 3-1, and I'm a pitcher. But I remember diving. I remember sticking my head in there looking for that two-seam and then going, okay. And then this 68-mile-an-hour thing comes in, and Yachty takes the pancake and goes like this, and the guy goes strike because I'm a pitcher. And it probably was a strike, but it was just set up beautiful. And I remember being like where is my head supposed to be now? Because like I'm up here not wanting to swing at this. Then I finally go after this, and the ball comes out over my head. And 3-1, he throws a fastball, four-seam, like right down the middle. And I swing under it. And I'm like, this is like, it totally like mind erased my whole approach. Was this 68-mile-an-hour lob Johnson in a 3-1 count, and it ended up getting him the out. So that was then, and then there's another one. Like, I feel like I'm talking about hitting a lot, but
I love this.
There was a runner on like second or third against the Dodgers, and Josh Fields is pitching, and Jordy Mercer's in the 8-hole. And sorry, Jordy, but he blows Jordy up with like 3 straight heaters. They came in to face Jordy, and he's just like, boom, 97, 97, 97. And I'm like, okay, well, I got to get ready here. And he throws me 3 straight hooks. The runner on second base. And after the third one that I walked up on the first 2, after the third one that I chased, I just like flipped the bat in frustration. And I looked at AJ Ellis. I'm like, the fuck, man. And he's like jogging off. He's like, hey, I've seen you hit a fastball before. And he like jogs off. And I'm like, okay, no prisoners, too. Like at sometimes, we kind of we kind of think about the pitcher, like in those situations, is like super weak. And like when you work down to the pitcher, you want to get out of the jam. So you just throw them an abundance of strikes sometimes. There's nothing worse than giving up a 2-out RBI to a pitcher, though. So when you got to go for the throat, there's no prisoners for sure.
I actually have 2 funny stories that piggyback off that. One was with AJ Ellis. I was in a game, I was hitting, and I was batting right-handed, and Chris Capuano was pitching. AJ Ellis was catching. And it was towards the end of Capuano's start, and for whatever reason, he threw the first 2 pitches to the backstop, and Mattingly went out and got him mid-count, 2-0, with the pitcher up there. So he goes and gets him, brings in Jamie Wright. So I'm a switch hitter. So I've been hitting right-handed versus Capuano. I switch around left-handed, and AJ Ellis looks at me and he goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I'm like, "What? I hit both sides." And then at that point, he went change up, and I went swing and miss, ground out. And I was like, "Damn it!" Like he's on to me, like because now he thinks I'm hitterish. Like all of a sudden, like damn it, he's on to me. And then what was the second thing I was gonna say about it was. Oh man, I lost track of that. But it's funny how some of the catchers back there can be onto you a little bit. Like, what I was gonna say is, as a pitcher facing a pitcher, the thing that I realized with those were free strikeouts. Like, I need to actually step on their throat a little more and get the strikeouts. If I let off against them, I'm leaving some strikeouts on the table. That's the way I used to approach it. Like, I need these punches.
certainly there's a handful of guys that really tried to do a good job early in the count. Mike Leake, Zach Greinke, Jacob deGrom, Madison Bumgarner.
Dude, I gave up 2 doubles once to
Um,
Dan Herron. He was a good hitter.
Yeah, Dan Herron is a good hitter. Adam Rainwhite was a good hitter. Honestly, the Cardinals were very buttoned up in their hitting approach, and so were the Braves. But yeah, like some of those guys, I wouldn't. Some of those guys might earn a breaking ball early in the count. For the most part, though, when I did get to 2 strikes, I did try to certainly put them away. But again, the last thing I wanted to do was throw balls to a pitcher. That was the last thing I want to do. With the Pirates, we tried to average 4.5 pitches, 4.5 pitches an at bat, 4 to 4.5 pitches. I believe the major league average was like 3.8. So if you think about it, and you're averaging 4.5 pitches an at bat, and you last to the 7th inning, and you haven't, and you're facing the opponent. By the time, if you're having a good day, by the second at bat, you might be pushing 10 pitches. And if you're pushing 10 pitches, like that's 10 less pitches that the opposing pitcher has to use. If you get to the third, like he's probably still having a good day, even though you may take like 13 or 14 pitches away from him. If you're facing him 3 times, he's probably pitching pretty well overall. But yeah, trying to rack up pitches. That's why we were very patient. We always had to take sign early in the count. Because that was our MO. If we could get him to 10 pitches by the first 2 at bats somehow, or close to 10 pitches, and we did our job.
I miss this stuff because, obviously I came up in the NL, so did you. But it was like if you were a team that was good at handling the bat, that was like an actual advantage, like over the other pitching staff. So I like that fact of it. I know it's different now, and in a way, it's a little better, a little cleaner now. Just roll your guys out and let's play some baseball. But I don't know, strategy wise, I was always into that. For sure.
I was into it. The baseball fan appreciates it, I think.
Yeah.
But the 30,000-foot view, trying to grow the game, people are like, this guy stinks. Why is he hitting? And then you got to explain it to him. So I know why we moved. I know why we moved forward, but I do miss it a little bit.
All right, great. Me too. All right. Moving on, we had a couple questions in the chat earlier about the beard policy with the Yankees. I think you're kind of on the same page as me. I know you had your beard grown out a little more, obviously, when you were an Astro. Obviously, the floodgates are open now with the Yankees. But is your mentality still basically shaving for the Yankees, or is that kind of evolved, you think, in your thinking?
Yeah, the floodgates are open to a certain extent, I believe. The Astros and Pirates beard was quite messy. I don't think that would fly. But yeah, I associated it growing up, shaving, being a part of the Yankees. I thought it was like special.
Me too.
We would have conversations as a team where guys are like, yeah, okay, it's a bit of a drag to shave, but we're the only club in the league that does it, and that's kind of cool. With that said, keeping a little bit of scruff, just using it, I guess instead of a razor, like a beard trimmer,
like
to
a
keep
machine.
it like a machine, like that. That's that's certainly appeals to a broader group of players, and I still think it keeps with the theme that we're neatly groomed, that we're professional, like overall. No Gaddis beards.
Yeah.
Not having Gaddis beards. Yeah. No old Gerrit Cole beards, but a little bit of scruff that I think is maintained, honors what has been for so long, and also kind of accommodates the future going forward.
Yeah.
So overall I like it. I shaved a lot last year, more so than I kept a little stubble. But I'm likely probably going to keep some more stubble this year, but just not get too crazy with it.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page with you with that. It's interesting. I like freedom to do stuff, but I felt the same way. Like I had no problem right away. I was like, great, we're going to figure out my shaving routine. We're going to get this right. I'm going to look the part.
Go to the artist shaving.
Yeah, I'm going to be in the part. Yeah.
Get one of the brushes.
Earlier
make sure you're doing it right.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like before you don't know what you're doing. Now you need like a whole situation, whole sequence.
You got to learn.
Yeah. So also some people in the chat are curious about some of your off-field stuff. Like we had mentioned, obviously a lot of people know about your cooking prowess, but a lot of people are curious about your piano playing. Can you talk about that a little bit, where that came from at the beginning? I know there was some viral stuff of you playing on the bench this year. I've talked about how I've seen you play some classical, and it's amazing. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, my folks had a piano growing up, and I took lessons for 8 years. During my downtime in 24, Steinway was having a sale, and I got a nice discount on one of the last uprights that they had there. And I was spending some time at home early in the spring, rehabbing, and so I bought it. I just started to pick it up and stuck with it, you know, for the rest of the summer, and then blew my arm out in spring. And then after my brace got done, I found it rather helpful for rehabilitation, to play both, like, learning some more left hand stuff because the right hand's limited, but also pushing the right hand and some of the flexors, building the stamina, building the motor control back again. And so I also just really enjoy playing. I just recently purchased a piano here. Is a Yamaha, to be fair to all the plugs, but it's really, it drove me crazy sometimes as a kid taking lessons, but I'm really thankful that my folks stuck to it, because they got me to a level where I'm self-sustainable. I mean, I can probably learn any piece that you want me to learn. Granted, the more difficult it is, the longer it would take me to really kind of break it down. But I know music theory. I know the fundamentals of playing the piano, and it's great to teach my kids. Add a few holiday songs to the riff, and it's a great way to relax, unwind. So yeah, I really enjoy it. I'm hesitant about putting stuff on the internet. Yeah, they did catch me doing that finger drill in the dugout, but just because I have so much respect for the profession, that when I muck up like one or two notes, like, I just don't want that out there in the world. But if you come over to my house, I'd be happy to play for you anytime you want. So
No, I love it, man. I mean, I'll never forget, because when you came to the Yankees, I remember like one of the first road trips or whatever, we were hanging out in somebody's suite and there was a piano in there, and you hopped on the piano and you started playing, and I was like, damn, like, that's legit. Like,
yeah,
that's impressive.
that was yeah.
Maybe,
I love that suite, actually.
yeah, where were we? I don't
In
remember.
DC,
DC, maybe? Yeah.
in Guardy's room. Yeah, Guardy's room.
Yeah.
DC has a suite with a piano. Seattle has a suite with a piano.
Minnesota, maybe? New Minnesota? I don't know.
There might be there might be one there at the Four Seasons there.
It's just
Yeah, I
funny
always try to
because
get Benny to get me that. Yeah.
it's funny because you're talking about how you're using it a little bit in your dexterity and your rehab process, like how there's some value there. Like, I think a lot of guys were more like me on the, like, just playing FIFA. Like, I was playing video games, trying to mash around with my thumbs, and I thought maybe that was helping me in my rehab, but nothing as good as using your whole hand, like on a piano. That's such a
Yeah,
great skill
I mean,
to learn.
it there are some days after rehab where I really couldn't.
Yeah.
I really didn't have much left.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how you know that, like, you're pushing, you're progressing, right? You're pushing forward. Where, like, you're really not able to move your fingers later that day, the way that you were earlier in the day or the day previous because of the rehab.
Well, shout out to Joe Bello for working you so hard,
Joe gets a lot of shout outs. Yeah, and he deserves them. He is, he's one of the best out there, and he has all the ingredients of a great PT. That's for sure. And I've benefited from Joe quite a bit. So.
All right, last thing for you. I know that you are suddenly interested in doing pottery now. Has any of that been going on, or is that not gotten off the ground yet?
Yeah, so we did pottery for my anniversary with my wife, and I found that throwing clay on a wheel is something I'm very, very poor at. Very poor at. I mean, I can pinch pot, I think, pretty good, but I, for whatever reason, I could not figure out how to throw clay. So I'm going to have to work on that. That is a major weakness in my game. Amy, on the other hand, fantastic. So at least we got a couple usable vegetables from that experience, but none of them came from me. No.
All right, well, that's great. All right, I'm going to leave you. This is the fastest pitch of your career, according to
101.9.
101.9 versus
It's a walk.
Renfroe.
It's a walk.
He swings, though.
Oh, he swings at it.
Fouls it off.
Fouls it off.
Yeah, I
Couldn't even
have, I
get
have
by
all
him.
your fastest pitches here. This one's
I will
101.5.
say, I will say too. Your agent Brett reached out to me and set this whole thing up. So I do need to give her a shout out. She is the most festive elf I've ever met. Your house looks amazing, and she's the engine inside the little train that could. She keeps the Ottavino household moving, and we're all thankful for Brett. That's for sure. This holiday season.
No doubt. She loves you. You know how she feels about you, man. So you're the best. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
I love you.
Oh, she just wants to tell you that she loves you.
I love you so much.
Well, thank you, Brett. We love you too.
I miss him.
You're great.
And his whipped cream.
Oh, yeah, we miss you in the whipped
Making
cream
with
and
the
everything.
girls.
And we'll see you.
Yeah,
We'll see you
it's
in April.
It's really just a couple ingredients. It's not that big a deal.
All right, G, you're the best, man. Thanks for hanging with me. I appreciate
All right,
you.
we'll see you guys. All right, have me on again.
I
All
will.
right, thank you.
All right, thanks, brother. Yep. All right, there's G. That was great. I hope you guys enjoyed that. He's one of a kind. You just got to get him going, man. I loved watching the hitting. I thought that was really fun. I love watching. I mean, really, just get him going. He's got such good insight. You know, great friend. So it's cool to get him on. I'm glad that worked out. That was really fun. I don't know. I'm really taken aback by how fun that was. That was great. So we'll get him on again soon. And hopefully we can get him back pitching really, really soon, because he's what the Yankees are missing, and it's not fun without him on the bump. We're used to seeing 200 innings of pure dominance, and the combination of him and Carlos and Max and Schlittler and Will Warren, Yankees are going to be right there. Actually, I meant to ask him about Rock Chowalski from UCLA, because he's the one who put me on, besides my friend Cashel Duggar, who plays for the UCLA baseball team. That's a whole nother thing. But anyway, that was Gerrit Cole. So let's get into the chat a little bit, and we'll see how we're going to finish out this show. If there's any other transactions that we've missed, I don't know if we've missed anything. Let me go to Trade Rumors, see if anything happened in the moment here. Probably not. Man, Rangers have not had substantial trade talks. Okay, so this is all the rumor mill. I'm looking. I don't care about interested in. None of that matters to me. I do think we're going to see a run on more relievers. But wasn't there something else that happened? Oh, this was an interesting thing. The Shane Bieber dealt with forearm fatigue. So this was interesting, if for no other reason than gives us a little insight to maybe why he takes the club option, the player option, excuse me. Maybe he had a little bit of concern about how his medicals would be received on the open market. So that's a little sketchy for Blue Jays fans. Hopefully he's healthy and he's all good. But I don't know. I thought that was an interesting anecdote, that he was dealing with a little forearm fatigue as he's pitching in the biggest moments of the season for the Jays. So that's going to be interesting. Yep, casually had his Cy Young in the background. I mean, if you have it, you might as well show it. And I remember the year, what was it, 2021? I went to the Red Sox. I'll never forget. I went to the Red Sox. We were battling with the Yankees the whole year. Obviously, me and Gerrit are quite close. Robbie Ray wins the Cy Young, but I remember before that asking him if he thought he had a shot to win the Cy Young that year. And he said, "No, I think Robbie's going to get it." And I asked him about, he hadn't won one yet, about getting the trophies. And he goes, I'm proud of what I've done, but I would like to get some hardware at some point. And he was able to push through and get that Cy Young in 2023. So very pleased that he was able to finally get that, because he deserves it. I mean, he's one of the best pitchers of the generation. So it would be weird without that. All right, what else we got in here? Brett is probably the secret to getting players to come on the show. Yes, I talk to them too, but Brett puts the hammer down. When Brett reaches out, very hard to say no to her. So she's the real MVP. We all know it. I don't remember this anecdote when Taijuan Walker switch hit because of a hurt shoulder, but I can see that when you hit left-handed, but you're a righty thrower. A lot of times when you come off, when you let go with the one hand, you can get a sublex shoulder here and a lot of strain through the front. So that's why you see a lot of pitchers that hit opposite-handed from the way they throw, hold on with two-hand finish to not strain their throwing arm. So you got to be a little careful with that. But we'll see. Toronto fans were getting mad at everyone for questioning why Bieber would accept the option. Makes some sort of sense now, and it does. It does make some sort of sense. Let me take off these headphones. Don't need it now that I'm not talking to anybody. Ooh, he should have won it in 2019. I can make a good argument for that. Just for fun, because this is my show. We can do whatever we want. Let's go take a look at that 2019 comparison between him and JV. Obviously, they're tight, but only one could win, and it was awfully close. 2019, Verlander, and then 2019 Cole. So 2019 Cole, which was just an absurd season, by the way. 2.50, 6.7 WAR, 33 starts, 212 and a third, 142 hits, 48 walks, 326 strikeouts. I can't imagine striking out 300 batters in a season. That's just, you're just literally sitting there with a ticket puncher, punching tickets all freaking year. 2.64 FIP, 185 ERA plus, finished his second in the Cy Young. And then on the JV side, 2019 JV, 21 and 6, 7.4 WAR, 2.58, 223 innings, even 300 strikeouts. So it's less strikeouts, but a better whip overall, more WAR, right? Beats him in the WAR. Yeah, beats him in WAR. Innings. It's just a shame a little bit for G in this. Yeah, beat him by a lot of innings. That was probably the separator. 212 versus 223. So I don't know. I would have given the edge maybe to Gerrit just because of all the strikeouts, but 5.5 hits per nine that year for JV is crazy. A 0.8 whip. So it's pretty tough to argue. But he could have easily had multiple Cy Youngs under his belt at this point, my guy Gerrit. And he only has the one, but, you know, it's okay. It's not like people don't know how great he is. You know, everybody knows. So, I don't know, interesting comparison there. All right, let's get down here a little bit. Oh, man, is DeGrom a Hall of Famer in my opinion? Yes, because I'm into big-time peaks. I think he could do a little bit more, like, to put himself over the edge here with 2 more dominant seasons, but I'm biased, so it's my version of the Hall of Fame. Do I think he'll get in? Probably not, based on what's going on, but I don't know. I like him. I like it. Can I take my thoughts through on the Dodgers signing Edwin again? I'll rehash it for a second. Number one, I'm surprised at the term that it wasn't the Mets. I think something went wrong in the negotiations. I don't have any insight on that. I think it's a great signing for the Dodgers. I think it would have been a good signing at that price point for the Mets. I don't know what happened there. I think it's a little interesting that something went wrong, but I don't have any insight to that. I love Edwin at 3 years, regardless of the price. I think he's the best closer in the sport. I wouldn't want to give him 5 years, but I wouldn't want to give myself 5 years because I know how hard it is to project out beyond 3 years in life. But I also love that the Mets got Devin Williams. I think you could argue that he might end up having the better 3 years. Like, I don't know. And it's at a lower price point. And there's a lot to like about both guys. So let's just wait and see how it all plays out. But that was my thoughts. You have 0 gas. I might need to come get you. From where? Did my wife leave? Should we call her? Let's call her. Let's find out where she is.
Hello.
Where are you?
I am going to the library.
And how little gas do you have?
There's a little yellow.
Okay, so you're fine still.
Well, I have to get all the way to Greenwich, but I think I'm able to. I don't have time to get gas.
All right, you're live on the stream telling me, by the way. I'm telling everybody right now.
Oh.
All right, well, let me know if you need me, okay?
Yeah, I'm going to try to get to the library, and then I'll try to get gas after.
All right, love you.
Love you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
All right, she's fine. Little yellow, we're not worried about that. Yeah, yellow is mellow. See, we're good. We're not worried about that. Yeah, Robert Suarez is a guy that I would like. I'm a big Robert Suarez fan. Curious what his market's going to look like if he can get himself to 3 years. Let's go to Robert Suarez. Robert Suarez. So 34 years old, will play next year at 35, 36. I mean, look, I had a great year at 36, so I'm not going to poo-poo that. I don't know if this guy's a hard worker or not, but I mean, he's still throwing 98.6 on average. The thing that people don't love about him compared to like Williams or obviously Diaz, is the strikeout rate's not top of the scale. 27.9 is great, but it's not super duper elite. And also, like, he gets hit kind of hard. The barrels are too high, not a lot of ground balls. That's a little bit of a sketchy batted ball profile. He doesn't get the level of whiff that you would expect. 39th percentile whiff is way low for a guy who's living 98.6. And really, you look at the pitch plot, I mean, it's kind of weird. It's four seam, sinker, changeup. There's nothing on the other side. So it makes him a little bit more predictable in terms of pitch movement. He'll keep you off the barrel at times, and he's going to beat you with execution and velocity. But yeah, he has some ability to probably become a better pitcher too if he could figure out how to get something going left. But I like him. I like him a lot. I think he's the best reliever left on the market. I don't really think you're going to have to pay more than 2 or 3 years. I'd like to keep him at 2, but if I'm him, I want to get more than that. So it's hard to say. But yeah, I mean, we looked at the relievers a minute ago. Who's left that I personally really am into? Suarez, Rogers, Keller, Fairbanks to some extent. I even like Milner, Hobie Milner. He's a guy who has a pretty good, he's a tough left-on-left guy. I mentioned how Kinley's a little bit interesting in that he did good at sea level, terrible at mile high, but he's older. I wouldn't be my main target. Other than that, I mean, you got to go a little further down. I would be willing to maybe think about Pomeranz. I know he's old, but he was effective. Kenley's still being slept on. He's still probably going to be pretty effective. I think Mark Leiter is underrated. I know the Yankees non-tendered him, but I feel like Mark Leiter's still a good pitcher, and I love Luke Weaver. Feel like maybe some things got in his head at the end of last year and cost him because he was looking to break the bank. I mean, he had the unfortunate situation where he had a career year. Luke Weaver had a career year, but then there was a team option for very little money on the end of that. So I don't know. I just think it sucks because you want to cash in on your great performance, but he had a little dip right before free agency. So that's a little bit scary. Who else do I really like in this group? If Max Kranick is healthy, I like him, but he's not healthy. Pierce Johnson's another one. Hell of a breaking ball. This guy's going to get a decent contract, I think. Evan Phillips is great, but he's been hurt. I don't know. That's probably it for the guys I'm really excited about. Tons of depth options here, but those are my favorites. So we shall see. I don't think there's anybody they can get that would be the closer over Devin Williams personally. Although I did love the mentality of Williams yesterday when he was interviewed, saying that he feels like he still has to earn everything. Like, that's the best mentality. You want to earn everything. You don't want to be given anything. So this is another option, trading for the other McGill, Big Drip's brother. That would be interesting. I mean, he's electric. So if you can pull a trade off like that, I think that would be interesting. That would be interesting as well. What else we got here in the chat? Would you rather have Diaz and Williams or Williams, Rogers, Suarez? Probably Williams, Rogers, and Suarez. I don't know. I'd rather have the third guy because you need insurance against each other. If you only have two and one goes down, you're not left in a great spot, if that makes sense. So I don't know. Ooh, we got a paid comment here in the chat, so we have to answer this one for sure. Thank you for the donation. Agent Zero, what's up, man? With all the noise in Queens, I have Pete signing with Boston for this price, 5 for $150. I do think Pete is a heck of a fit with the Red Sox in a way. I think the wife's from Massachusetts. They need a righty bat pretty badly in the middle of their order. They need pop. I could see him being great. He would be embraced by that fan base. So I do think the Red Sox are a real threat to the Mets in the Pete sweepstakes, but I think the Red Sox are involved in a lot of things. So we'll see how that shakes out. Let's see what we got here. Do you think baseball will slowly remove pitching roles from the games? Not as much as I thought maybe 5 years ago. I'd say 4 or 5 years ago, I was in this boat. Like, pretty soon there's going to be no such thing as roles. It's all just going to be pitchers. But we trended back the other direction. Starting pitching, so important that those guys are your aircraft carriers in the middle, and then your relievers can kind of support that and lock games down and support comebacks and cover when your starters falter. But if you don't have 5 or 6 guys that are going out there and doing a good job as a starting pitcher, you're going to have a hard time winning over 162. So I don't think we're going to see a huge change. I think and I also think it's entertaining for baseball when the starters are a big part of the attraction. Like when I would grow up, I would go into the Post or the Daily News, and I would look at the matchups, and that stuff really mattered. Like if I saw a big time pitcher, I'd be into that. So I think that's an important part of attracting the game, is making sure and incentivizing those guys to still be a big deal and to pitch a lot. And you know, I think that the league will continue to change the rules and adjust things a little bit to enforce that. Whether it's that whole thing where you lose your DH or what other roster size limitations, they'll come up with some different things. But starting pitching is an important part of the game as an entertainment product, as well as important to get your team into the playoffs. All right, what else we got? Who will be your next guest? My next guest on Friday is Mr. Lawrence Butler, young player out in Oakland, well, Sacramento, I should say now, maybe Vegas in a few years. Good dude. Going to talk to him a little bit about his journey and his approach. So Lawrence should be a good guest. Me and him chatted at the World Series, so I got to know him a little bit, so we're going to get him on, and that's exciting. It's a guy that I'm not really close to, like Gerrit, so we'll have lots of stuff that I need to learn, so that'll be fun. All right, what else we got here? How would you approach coaching pitchers to use ABS? I wouldn't coach them at all. Pitch the same way, and then really you have to get a sense of if they know the zone or not, whether you give them the okay to do the tapping a lot or not. You know, if you're just going to be recklessly doing it and losing all the team's challenges, then I might put the kibosh on that a little bit at times, if that makes sense. I think 2+ inning saves / multi-inning holds should be recorded differently so players are incentivized to do it for ARB. Yeah, it's just we're so far down the line with a lot of these stats that matter in ARB. I mean, I remember when I was going through ARB, they're comparing me from pitchers that came 10 years before me and stuff, and it's just like, the problem with ARB is they don't tell you what they care about at all. Like it's all comp based, and then after they decide, they don't give you any insight to why they made their decision. So you can go ahead and like show them a proposal of why you think you're worth whatever with whatever criteria you want to give. Oh, I had X amount of 2 innings. I did holds plus saves. I did my win probability added. You just don't know if they take into account or not. So it's kind of a stupid situation in a way. Yellow line is now gone. Go, Brett, go. To the gas station, my love. Oh, we'll definitely cover college baseball. I want to do a college baseball preview, and mainly it's for me to get educated on it. We'll look at top draft prospects from college and all that type of stuff too. So we'll do college. I mean, shoot, I got to cover all this winter months. So unless there's transactions, how do you do that? You know, I'm only having guys on for like half an hour or a little longer. But I want to do this show no matter what. So we'll find ways to cover all sorts of baseball. I know you talked about Schwarber earlier. Do you think Murakami is a nice pivot for the Reds? Yeah, I love Murakami as for a power bat. If you're looking to get power in there, he's certainly that. I think he would fit well in that ballpark. And, you know, maybe they're the team to take a little bit of a risk on Murakami because there is a lot of swing and miss in the game, but the upside's there, and they might not have access to that in a lot of other ways. So I could see Murakami being a pivot for one of these NL Central teams. I don't know if he'll want to sign there, but I could see it. How did I get to know Gerrit? We played together. How did I get to know Lawrence? We met at the World Series. All right, what else we got here? Pages is definitely going to lose Dodgers challenges. So that's the thing, like guys who think they know the zone but don't, there's a human aspect to the ABS that I find fascinating. That's one of the things I'm excited about this process, is just learning. I mean, just seeing more human element in it. Like, again, like I think to myself, like Juan Soto is like, he knows the zone. If he's tapping, you're probably going to trust that. But if everybody's tapping and they're getting things wrong, well, then their conversations have to be had, and there's going to be criticism with that. And I don't know. I just love the drama of it. I love the drama of it for sure. 33 is my favorite number. What is your tattoo on your hand mint? It's 3 up, 3 down. That's like a clean inning as a pitcher. So it's corny, and I got this tattoo a long time ago. But yeah, that's what it is. 3 up, 3 down. And then this is the other pitching one, 60 feet, 6 inches, which they might change at some point. So we'll see. Do I follow football at all? No, I quit on football a long time ago. The only time I watch is usually the last 5 minutes of the Super Bowl every year. That's it. I'm more of a European soccer guy now. I have not done the Immaculate Grid yet today. We'll get that at some point. If you put questions in the Discord or in the Discord channel that we have for that, or in the comments, I'll try to ask them. Today I asked the questions that were in there. There hasn't been a whole lot, but yeah, if you got questions for LB, ask them. Josh Hader's arbitration showed how messed up it can be. Most dominant reliever dinged because not enough saves. So this was my argument. I saw somebody brought up Addison Reed earlier. It's funny because me and Addison Reed hit arbitration at the same time. I had better numbers in every single category except for saves, right? Addison Reed had 100 saves because he was a closer with the White Sox. I had, I don't know, 3 career saves or 1 career save by the time I hit ARB. But I had better numbers, more innings, more strikeouts, lower ERA, more appearances, you name it. Across the board, I was more effective, plus doing it at Coors, whereas he was in the White Sox. Yet, I signed for 1.3 in arbitration, and he got 4.3, showing you the power of saves. So this speaks to this, the Dylan Betances crazy arbitration situation versus the Yankees that he lost, this Josh Hader arbitration situation that really limited his earning power through ARB. So saves are really the way, and that's why you see guys sell out and be obsessed with becoming closer through arbitration because that's how you get the money. That's the only time in my career that I ever wanted to take somebody's job. I wanted to take LaTroy Hawkins' closing job when I was in ARB because I wanted to get paid more money, straight up. And I did, but then I got Tommy John, so it was all for shit anyway. Maybe it was bad karma. I don't know. All right, on to the next. Jazz, Wells, Grisham, Belly do not know the zone at all. So we're going to see how that plays out. That's going to be interesting. The human element is entertaining, but it's conceptually wild. It's like we don't know if the call is right or wrong, but then you have to ask. You have to know when to ask. Yeah, I love that. Also, it's going to be quick. I've seen the system in practice, and so a lot of people are thinking, oh, this is going to delay the flow of the game. It's not, and that's what I like about it. If you remember the tennis back in the day where the crowd's like clap, 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 and the ball's out, and we move on to the next play, it's going to be very similar with baseball. It's going to move. It's going to feel good. I think it's an entertainment product, personally. That's why I like the ABS system. The link is in the YouTube page somewhere. Do you want to come to my car and get me gas? Why, are you out of gas? Did you lose gas, Brett? Please tell me no, because then I'll have to go drive over there, which is fine. I mean, we're ending the show in a minute anyway. I've thought about how to do Immaculate Grid in Discord. I figured we could just have a channel for it and post our screenshots every day. This is a good idea. So I'll add that. I'll add another channel to the Discord. We'll call it Immaculate Grid. And then we'll go from there. How do I do that again? I click on here. And then I say create channel. This one's going to be Immaculate. Oh, that's not English. Immaculate Grid. Create. All right, so now we have, I think it's in there. All right, so we'll post screenshots of our grids in there. That'll be fun. All right, what else we got? Who's my soccer team? It's Manchester United. I know that's crazy, but I grew up with some kids on my block in Brooklyn that their parents were big United people, and they used to get the games on VHS, and that's how I got into Manchester United. I know we've been relatively shit for a while, but, got to stay loyal no matter what. If I could start all over again, I might have picked a different Premier League team, but I'm committed. I'm in. So, there you go. Thoughts on Rocky's front office build-out? Very encouraged by this so far. Love the hires. Think it'll definitely move the needle. Impressed with what Walker Monfort's doing so far. Impressed. Very, very, very pleased. Very pleased. It's not bad karma to want to push yourself to the next level. True. Is it bad karma to not go take your wife's car to get gas while she's volunteering at the library? Oh, my love. I'm going to have to drive out there, aren't I? I have a feeling I'm going to. There's a whole, if you go look at my, if you want to go back to a couple streams and rewatch them, he's in the second prospect stream, Carson Bench. So you can go watch him. We talked about him a little bit. Or he's at the tail end of the first, maybe, because he was number 21, I think. You'll find him. If you look, you'll find him. How is Brett not a moderator of your chat? I don't know. We're learning how to do all this stuff as we go. Please take my keys and get me gas. All right, we're going to wrap up the stream in a minute because I have to go help my wife. So hopefully we get some more stuff today and tomorrow, and then we'll have some stuff to cover before Lawrence is with us on Friday. Oh my God, these things. Also, can you hang the Christmas lights? It's not cold. Well, not without you. I need a team. I need a tag team, Brett. I can't do this alone. Ay, ay, ay. I understand the struggle. I have multiple gas cans because of my wife. Oh, she likes to stretch. She likes to risk it a little bit. That's all, you know. All right, let's get sentimental. Can I talk about my first time going to baseball? I don't remember it specifically. I just remember seeing the field, coming out through that upper deck, seeing the green, being already obsessed, and just knowing I had to be out there. I went to a lot of baseball games growing up. So, I don't know, just always obsessed with it. I wish the winter meetings were more boring. Sorry, Maya. I know it was a tough day, but you know what? Maybe they'll come back today with a vengeance and fire up some Met fans. So, will you hit the 40s in prospects? I don't remember where we got to. Where are we at and how far did we get? Let me go look at how far we got in the prospects so far. I got to the last guy I looked at. Yeah, I only made it to 31, Sal Stewart. So we'll keep going. There'll be more time. So we'll keep going. Yeah, I got to Sal Stewart. But I mean, there's a lot of famous names in here. JoJo Parker, Jonah Tong, Jamie Arnold, Carter Jensen, Bryce Renier, Liam Doyle. I mean, these guys are all like notable guys. Jace DeLauder, Justin Crawford. I mean, there's dudes. Mike Sirota. So I don't know. We'll definitely do this more when it's a quiet winter day, but we're not there yet. So we'll do that in a minute. Well, not in a minute. We'll do that soon. I remember my first game pretty clearly. Rockies game with the cheap tickets that we got from school. Larry Walker, Todd Helton, Juan Pierre days. That's old school rock show. Were you up in the rock pile? Those $4 tickets out in center? Pretty dope. Pretty dope. This is a basic question. I grew up a Yankees fan. My parents were more on the Mets side of things. I never was against the Mets. I liked both. I went to Shea a lot, but I definitely grew up a Yankee fan. I was a little obsessed with some of the players on that team. You know, Paul O'Neill, Bernie Williams, you know, obviously Jeter, etc. I don't know. Got swept up and down a little bit, but I always liked both. Well, thanks for joining us. I mean, don't worry. You can always rewatch. You know, I love when people rewatch and get the view count up a little bit. Plenty of good stuff today. Gerrit was awesome, I thought. We talked about some fun topics. Got to watch him hit a little bit. I know he liked that. Did my slider break differently in Colorado? Yeah, I mean, a little bit. Shorter, but keep it in the strike zone a little bit. Also, you know, less break, little easier to throw strikes with. I don't know. I'd be curious to actually look at my movement numbers going back. I don't know how far we'll go back. Let's see. Show more seasons. So the earliest 2015, 2016. So the sweeper was at 16.9 in 2016. It was only at 13.5 in 2015, but it was a lot faster. It was like 85-ish, 84-ish, 85-ish. 17 there. And then by 18 was my last year in Colorado, 16.4. And then watch the immediate jump when I'm not pitching at mile high anymore. 2019 with the Yankees, 18.5. 2020, basically 18. 2021, 19. So, yeah, it's about another inch or two difference on average after you account for the diminished movement at cores over time. Pretty cool. Thank you. I that's what I want this show to be, like just a relaxing, you know, we're drinking some coffee, we're watching some baseball. Of course, it's easier in the season when there's lots of baseball to watch. But I don't know. I'm loving this off-season stuff too. We're exploring a lot of topics. He did. Gerrit, he said, bring me back on, right? So we're gonna have him back on at some point. Maybe we'll do it in person with some people. We'll do some things later. More stuff's gonna have to go on. Think Chase Burns he's got a chance to pitch for Italy? That'd be sick. I would love to get to know him up close. That'd be great. Go take care of the wife. We'll be here later. Good point. Good point. Good point. I love you guys, and I'm really appreciative of all the regulars I have. Like, you guys are great. I mean, you guys watch me all the time, and it's fun. This show would suck without the interaction with everybody, I have to say. So, as for this, I don't know. He might not want to. You know, maybe eventually we'll get Edwin on, but maybe the dust has to settle a little bit here. I don't know. I'm gonna give him a little space. I mean, I told him congrats and stuff, but this is a weird time, so we'll see how it goes. Give him a little space for now. I miss when Kid Cudi's Alive was your song. I'm still gonna use it because that's my song. I know Jeff Hoffman stole it and everybody thinks it's his song, but let's not forget where he stole it from. So I would love a percentage. I grade papers while I watch this. I'm sure the students get better grades because I'm in a better mood. I like that. We're boosting. We're helping kids get into the next school. I love that. Yeah, Matz had a QO, so they'll get the draft pick at least. I think the Rockies tried to go mostly hard throwers recently, and that didn't work as well. So I've talked a little bit about what I'd like to see. So we'll see. All right, we're gonna wrap it up for today. Thank you guys for hanging. This has been a good stream. I know a lot of people are here probably because of Gerrit, but I really appreciate this overall. We'll be back on Friday. Hopefully some more stuff will happen. Eventually we'll get to the Hall of Fame ballot. Eventually we'll get to more prospects. We'll do college baseball. There's so much coming this winter. Lawrence Butler should be an interesting guest to learn more about him come Friday, and I have more coming up the next week and beyond. So thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for supporting the show. This was another great one. I'm thinking about making a video live on my channel that's up there unlisted. It's a video of some of my pitching. I've been a little afraid to put out there because I don't like to. I don't know. Feels like it's not a humble thing, but you know, you'll see. I'm not trying to make it that way. I thought it was interesting because I actually know what I was thinking in these games, so I might put that on there. I might make that public maybe later today. I'm debating it, so we'll see. Keep an eye out for that. But if not, I'll see you guys on Friday. So thanks so much, and have a great Friday. Have a great Wednesday, I should say. And I'll see you guys in a couple days. And now I'm gonna have to go drive out to Connecticut and help my wife. All right, peace, guys. Great show today. See you guys. Bye bye.